it's leg day. So today we're going to be going over a quick warm-up routine that you can use for a lower body day. So a lot of people always ask me questions about what should I do when I'm warming up? Is there something specific I should do? The honest answer is really whatever makes you feel good and ready for your workout. So I usually recommend starting out with like 3 to 5 minutes of some kind of cardio to kind of get your heart rate up, get a little bit sweaty. My preferred warm-up, because it's so quick, is the row. So I'll usually start off with like a 250 meter to 500 meter row, get the body warmed up, get a little bit of a sweat going, and then you can start focusing on what you're doing for that day. So I know today for my leg day, I have back squats and I have RDLs with a couple of other accessory work. So I'm gonna start warming up for that essentially. And the easiest way to do that is to think about what muscles you're using. So I'm using a little bit of quad, a little bit of hamstring as well, definitely glutes. So I'm gonna start off with 10 nice easy squats. So you really want quality over quantity, making every single rep perfect. I'm gonna make sure that my feet are planted, I'm getting my hips below parallel. And while you're working on your body weight stuff, just kind of taking note of what does your body feel like today? What does it feel like it needs more to warm up? So right now I'm kind of noticing that my hips are feeling a little bit tight. Once I've done like 10 to 15 of these body weight squats, I might add a little bit of weight just to load up a little bit, doing a couple of reps with some weight. And I've got a couple of kettlebells here. As you can see, I've got a whole rack behind me. So in case I need anything else, I'll just go ahead and grab it. But again, as I said, my hips are feeling a little bit tight. So one of my favorite things to do when my hips are feeling tight are 90-90. So I'm gonna take my feet out wide. You can rest on your fingertips here. I'm gonna drop both knees to one side until I feel that 90-degree angle with both knees. I'm gonna bring it up to center and then back over to the other side. And then as you're doing it, if you feel like you can, maybe bring the arms out, spending a little bit of time in that position until it feels like you're kind of good and ready to go. So the other thing for tight hips, I like to add in this nice hip opening stretch. So I've got weights nearby. I'm not gonna quite use them yet. I'm gonna have my knee in line with that heel. From here, I'm just gonna lean forward, push my knee over my toes, feel that stretch, and back off. So you don't necessarily wanna stretch while you're warming up. You wanna do more of a dynamic stretch or dynamic movement, anything that's gonna help to improve joint mobility and warm up your muscles, because we really wanna be active, not passive. So if you're doing a lot of like stretching, your muscles are gonna be relaxed. You don't necessarily wanna be relaxed before you start working out. So once this starts feeling good, I might add in a little bit of weight. So I'm gonna just add in this kettlebell, I'm gonna lean into it and back off. Anywhere from like 10 to 15 reps on this. And then I would say do the same thing on the other side. So the other thing, like I said, we're doing some RDLs today. So I'm gonna start off with a staggered leg RDL because I really do like to warm up unilaterally as well. So I'm gonna have one foot in front, the back toe. I'm just gonna start with the movement. So getting nice and used to that stretch and then activate at the top. So big stretch, slight bend in the knee and squeeze. I've got all my weight on that front leg and that back leg isn't doing much, it's just a kickstand. And then once I've got this, I'm gonna add in a little bit of weight. So hamstrings are strong, you can go a little bit heavier with that as you warm up. Hinging at the hip, thinking about sending your hips straight back. And then after a couple on that side, I'll switch over, do the same thing. Again, you might wanna start with just some body weight movement to see how it feels. And then adding in, so hips go back, and then squeezing, activating at the top. Hips go back, squeezing and activating. So I have a very hard time activating my glutes, which makes me a very quad dominant person, unfortunately. What I will usually try to do is add in some glute bridges, especially a single leg glute bridge. So I'm gonna get down on the floor. I'm gonna have my feet nice and flat. From here, I'm gonna bridge up by pressing through my heels, extending my hips all the way. I'm gonna hold at the top, feel that activation, and then nice and slow, bring it back down. So again, like 10 to 15 of these. You can go through this for as many rounds until you start to feel like you're ready. And then I'm gonna do that same exact thing. This time I'm gonna keep one leg down and have the other leg up. Squeeze, activate, and control it down. So after I've done about 10 or so on this side, I'll switch. I'll do the same thing on the other side, just focusing on feeling what muscle group is working. And then my other favorite thing to do Again, moving laterally because I feel like we don't move laterally enough. I'm gonna have my toes pointed forward. I'm gonna take a nice wide stance. We're gonna do a lateral lunge or a Cossack squat. So I'm gonna shift my hips back, sit over to the side, sink into it, maybe hold for a second, and then pushing off that bottom leg, coming back to center, same thing on the other side, pushing off my leg. So like 5 to 10 on each side. My hips are feeling a lot better now. My legs are feeling pretty active. So once I'm kind of warmed up and ready to go with that, I might start to sink in a little bit deeper. Maybe lift that heel, sink in, getting into my ankles a little bit because I need those for my squats today. Coming back up, same thing, other side, sink in, maybe popping up onto that heel. And then if I'm really starting to feel good here, I'm gonna let my hip come all the way down to the floor. I'm gonna rotate that front leg, and I'm gonna push off. So depending on your mobility, you might just stick with the Cossack squat. You might add in that extra rotation just to get a little bit of extra movement. And then once I am done with my body weight and my light kettlebell warm up, I'm gonna start loading up my bar. So what I would recommend is starting with an empty bar. As much as you wanna just throw a whole bunch of weight on, you wanna make sure that your central nervous system is fully ready for it. So I'll start with an empty bar. I'll warm up really nice and easy. I'll start throwing weights on gradually, until I find that weight that feels comfortable for my first set. So depending on whatever your rep scheme is, warming up gradually will help your central nervous system feel primed and ready for that weight. If you're using a machine, same thing. You hop on the leg press, maybe start with 45s on each side, add a little bit more, add a little bit more. When you feel like you hit that challenging weight, that's your first set. You don't want to count your warm-up sets as part of your working weight. You want to feel challenged while you're doing that working weight. Okay, that's it for today. Happy leg day, and I hope you enjoyed.